Congratulations! So now we are going to finish the last test we have for book 4. So this is going to be the review test from lesson 7 to review 3. So here are some of the questions probably you will have. Let's take a look at the very first one. Part 1, vocabulary. So let's take a look at number 3. So for number 3, we have here, COVID-19 has caused many factories to shut down and what? Economic activity across the globe. So here in this question, basically we will choose paralyzed. So paralyzed, we know it's a kind of illness, right? So which make people unable to move. And when we use paralyzed to talk about like paralyzed the economy or paralyze the economic activity, which means we kind of make it unable to operate, unable to run. So that's why we will choose paralyze. This one will be better. We would not choose eliminate here. That's because when you eliminate something, which means you try to get rid of something, you try to remove something. But basically, we know COVID-19 paralyzed economic activity instead of eliminating the activity. And then let's move on to number 7. So again, a lot of people, I don't know why you enjoy the word or you like the word eliminate, but eliminate, which means you remove something or you get rid of something. But here we are talking about the number, all right? The number of many species. So we're talking about the number. So the number will decline or the number will decrease. So probably we can highlight the words here, which is about the number. So the number declined, which means the number decreased, all right? And because of the loss of their natural homes, all right? And count other words here again, sorry, paralyzed. Then let's move on to number 8. So for number 8, we have here. Okay, so here it says, despite their wide search in the apartment of the suspect, the police found no trace of any evidence of murder. So here basically we'll choose the word thorough. So thorough, which means very complete, all right, very detailed. And strict, probably we can say the police kind of were really strict with the process or something like that. But basically, if we can choose the word thorough here, there will be better. Okay, thorough search in the apartment. All right, then that's roughly about the vocab over the very first part. And then let's take a look at this one for number 12. Some green manufacturers choose to use materials and processes that don't have any or damage effects on our planet. So here we are talking about damage. So there should be something negative, all right? So that's why in this case we choose the word negative. Additional will be something extra. But here, as you can see, they try to emphasize the things which are bad. So that's why we'll choose the word negative or damage effects. Then let's move on to number 13. It is what because of health concerns that Julia chooses not to eat meat. So one of the reasons might be her health concern. But the main reason, so here's the key word, main reason. So that's why we'll choose the word partially. So it is partially because of her health concerns, but the main reason is her religious belief. So main reason and partially because of that. All right. Then let's move on to the next one for part 2, close. Firstly, let's take a look at number 18 here. It says, the CEO of an investment firm noticed the wide gap in British ballrooms when she attended meetings. Here, we are talking about the difference between men and women. So that's why here we'll choose the word gender gap, which means the difference in gender, all right, or the difference about gender. And here, as you can see, in the passage, we don't talk about something about how much someone earned, right? Or how much money about for someone. So basically, in this case, we don't choose the word salary. We'll choose gender gap because here we're talking about the difference between men and women. Then let's take a look at number 21 here. So as we know, here we're talking about gender gap, right? So then for number 21, say male-dominated ballrooms. This group aims to eventually have women occupy 30% of all ballrooms. So probably, I can erase this one a little bit, try to make it smaller, fed up with. So here we will not choose the one of made up of. So if we know if this group was made up of male-dominated ballrooms, which means this group was made of male people. In this case, this group will not aim to eventually have women occupy 30% of all ballroom seats throughout the United Kingdoms. So here you have to pay attention to this one. This group, this one will be the subject of the verb here as well. So as we can see, probably that's because this group was fed up with male-dominated ballrooms. So that's why they aim to eventually have women occupy 30% of all ballrooms. If this group is made up of male-dominated ballrooms, probably they will just keep it the same. We still want to have more men for this. So in this case, they will not have women occupy 30% of all ballrooms seats throughout the United Kingdom. So in this case, as such, this group serves us, all right? So that's why for this one, because they are fed up, this one, so we use this group, and this group will serve us. We use this group as a means of. So you can check the words here, as a means of. So means of here means as a way of something. Okay, as a way of something. So this group serves as a way of raising awareness. If we want to choose the word fight for, we will simply say something like, this group fights for awareness of the benefits of having women in leadership roles. So there'll be, this group fights for raising awareness or fights for the awareness of the benefits of having women in leadership roles. So that's why we will not have the phrase a means of. So we'll choose a way like this one. This group serve as a way of raising awareness. This group serve as a means of raising awareness. Right? Then let's move on to number 25. So for number 25 here it says, with this person's help going forward, there's little doubt that British ballrooms will continue to see more equality. So with the help, right? So if you still remember the sentence patterns like this, with something, and here you can put an VNG form, all right, active voice, and passive voice, adjective, and preposition, all right? So with something, all right? So that's why here it says we'll use a word like with the help going forward, because we know the help goes forward. And there's little doubt that British ballrooms will continue to see more equality. All right, then let's move on to the second passage we have here for the close as well. And let's take a look at number 26 here. So for number 26, we have here, it says, this is because the Bhutanese government recognize the fact that having too many tourists can be tough on natural environment. So that's why we use the word tough on, which means they will cause certain kind of challenge, they will cause certain kind of difficulty or cause certain kind of damage to the natural environment we have here. Here in this case, we don't choose the word strict with. If we want to use strict with, probably we'll say the government is trying to be strict with the tourists, right? So it's not about the tourists can be strict with the environment. It should be the government will be strict with the tourists, all right? Or probably can say like the government is quite critical of the new policies or new regulations to help protect the natural environment, all right? And then for number 27, in the year in question, so which means in the year which is still under discussion. Okay, so in question, which means under discussion. Okay, or in a year still being questioned, fewer than 300 foreigners went there. So just very few people would like to go there because the year is still in question, is still kind of under discussion or still being questioned. All right, and the number of visitors gradually increased, which financially helped the country. So as you can see the word here, which. Okay, probably I had to make this one together, which. All right, with the mark here. So if you see the mark here, which means equal, right? If you still remember this one. Okay, equal. So which financially help the country. So in other words, the number of tourists gradually increase. So overall, this fact financially help the country. So the fact that the number of visitors gradually increased financially helped the country. So which here refers to the overall sentence, the number of visitors gradually increased. All right, and then let's move on to number 30. Right, so that's why I choose which here. And then for number 30, so for number 30, we have here also the same concept. We have with, okay, you can put active voice, passive voice, adjective, and also preposition, all right? And here, as we know, the number of tourists was kept down, all right? The number was kept down. So that's why we say with the number of tourists kept down. So one thing can be guaranteed, all right? The number was kept down. So that's why we say with the number kept down, we use the passive voice here, all right? Then let's move on to next part for the fill in the blanks. So also quite a lot of people make a lot of mistakes here. So let's take a close look at this one together. So for the very first one, for number 32, Jim is depicted or is described as a physically large but definitely kind gentleman. So here, as you can see here, we have kind here. So probably you have to think about, you might put an adverb here. And we had the word but here, right? So that's why we kind of had to make a contrast. So physically large, but definitely kind gentleman. So that's why we'll choose the word definitely, which will be better. For other adverbs, another one will be instinctively, but I think this one does not work here because I want to highlight this person is definitely, is obviously, is clearly a gentleman. Then we'll move on to number 34. So at first, Huck nearly gets into the rage of the people around him. So give into something. So as you can see here, we need a noun. So which means Huck nearly get into the rage or anger of the people around him. And then almost again. So here we need another adverb. So almost instinctively, he believes. So that's why we choose instinctively here, because we're talking about his belief in something. So that's why this word will be better, okay, in terms of the meaning. So almost instinctively, he believes he should have turned Jim into the authorities. Then he remembers how nice Jim is to him, and then that he regrets he ever wanting to turn Jim in. So here you can see the keyword here, that. So such that, just like so that. So if you still remember the sentence pattern like this one, we so, and then an adjective, okay, and then that, da da da. And we put such that, and still for such we put a noun, and then that, da da da. So here, to such an extent that he regrets ever wanting to turn Jim in. So this is the one, such an extent that, da da da. So Hank eventually what he believes in the moral thing. So as you can see here, we need a verb, and the subject is Hank. So which means you need to choose a verb with s behind. So that's why in this case we don't choose sway here, because it should be sways. And actually it's not about sways, actually it's about stands up for, which means support, okay, support something. So stands up for something. I can write it here. Wrong color. Okay, support. So he eventually stands up for, or he eventually supports what he believes is the moral thing to do. So in the last one, at the time of its publication in 1884, the book did little to what the opinions. So as we can see here we need a verb. It did little thing or did nothing to sway the opinion, because I to here. So that's why we need a root verbs here. So that's why we choose sway. So sway here means to change, okay, to change one's opinion, okay. So to change the opinions or to sway the opinions of many white Americans regarding African Americans. All right, so that's all about the part of fill in the blanks. Then let's move on to the last one for reading comprehension. Firstly, let's take a look at number 43. So for number 43 here it says, according to the passage, which of the following is not true about the traffic problem in Paris? So for option, for the first choice A, here, tour buses add to the crowding on the street, right? So you can see the one here, right? So here it said the thousands of tour buses only adds to these problems, further blocking traffic on the choked city streets. Okay, so blocking traffic and choked, right? The kind of crowded city streets. And then for the next one, for B, lanes reserved for bikes are in poor condition. So that's why we have the sentence here. Bike lanes are poorly maintained. All right, the one in yellow. Bike lanes are poorly maintained. In other words, which means lanes reserved for bikes are in poor condition. Then for C, let's take a look for the one in blue. So scooters often keep pedestrians walking on the road. But actually, it's not about walking on the road. It's actually on sidewalks, all right? So that's why for this part, there will be the wrong one. It should be on the sidewalk. And for the last one, you can take a look at the part in purple. right? So 7,000 construction projects were happening throughout the city, further adding to the congestion, all right? So that will be the answer we have here. Then for the last one, for number 44, based on the author's advice, what could you do if you were a tour guide in Paris? So here we'll choose the 1A. Design a safe biking tour around the city. So here you have to take a look in terms of advice. So we need to check the part of solutions. So what is the solution? So the first one is about taking public transportation. And the second one is that you can kind of offer tours on foot or by bicycle. So that's why here we are thinking about probably we can design a safe biking tour around the city. All right, so that's all about the questions, or probably something you don't quite get it for the test. And congratulations, you finally finished all the tests of book 4. And now we are going to move forward to your review course in your summer vacation. And hopefully you can enjoy your summertime at home and also try to prepare a little bit for your college entrance exam, which is not quite, well, I think it's approaching, it's coming. So, we should get ready for that. All right. So good luck